So, you're one of the greatest drivers that your sport has ever seen. You decide that you're going to retire at the end of the year. You have some badass old paint schemes reminiscing about famous liveries that you've ran in the past in your glory days. You win a race in the chase, you make it to the Final Four, you nearly win one last championship. I'll tell you what, as retirement years go and farewell tours go, Jeff Gordon's one's going to take some topping, and it's only fitting that such a legend of the sport gets the send-off that he deserves. It's on box. Yeah, that's about as much as you need to know about the box. There's no dents or scratches. And this thing got smashed to pieces. Zingy, that's a good word. Oh, excuse me. It's sloppy. I've seen paper customs on YouTube done better than this. Yes, hello race fans and welcome to Diecast Review Monday, presented by Race Gear UK. And this is, well, if there's only going to be one Jeff Gordon diecast I can do from this year, it's got to be this one, isn't it? It has got to be. Well, there's another one I could do, but frankly I don't want to, and I'll show you why in a bit. This is Jeff Gordon's 2015 Axalta Rainbow Warrior Chevrolet. Oh my god, it is just so cool, isn't it? My camera is actually slowly frosting up. There is condensation moving up the lens. Look at it. It's red and it's blue and it's green and it's yellow and it's a rainbow and it's the stuff. It just looks just badass incarnate, doesn't it? And it's a fitting paint scheme, and I think everyone was so delighted when this car got to run this year on Jeff Gordon's farewell tour. And what a farewell tour it's been, as I outlined in the intro. I'll tell you what, so many NASCAR drivers, you know, great NASCAR drivers, haven't had the retirement that they deserve. They kind of faded slowly away into obscurity, or it's not really been that great for them, and they've not really retired on top. Very few have kind of retired whilst at the top of their game, you know. Maybe the ones I can think of are maybe Rusty Wallace in 2005. He really sort of retired right at the top of his game still. Mark Martin less so. I mean, he came back a few more times and is sort of... But for a lot of guys, they don't really have a definitive end point. They don't go, no, that is it. It is all over. But for Jeff Gordon, he did that this year. Many, many fans had to come to terms with it. And, you know, fans that weren't even Jeff Gordon fans specifically, fans who, like me, have just grown up in an era where Jeff Gordon not being in a race is impossible. It's just not a thing that happens. So we've had to get used to the idea that after this year, there will not be a Jeff Gordon in the field for the 2016 Daytona 500. There won't be a Jeff Gordon anymore. This is it. And, you know, for someone like me and for guys who grew up watching NASCAR in the 1990s, that's a big deal. He was the last of that breed of, you know, your Mark Martin, your Rusty Wallace, your LaBonte brothers, Terry and Bobby, your Sterling Marlin. You know, even a lot of the guys around today, you know, the guys, you know, Dale Earnhardt Sr. This was, you know, Jeff Gordon is the last of that breed who raced with Dale Earnhardt Sr. And there's even a few guys around today, you know, it kind of reminded everyone, especially when Tony Stewart announced that he's retiring at the end of next year, we are really in the middle of a big transition in terms of generations of NASCAR drivers. And although we have a magnificent field of young talent coming up, the likes of Chase Elliott, Eric Jones, Chris Buescher, you know, Daniel Suarez, the Dillon brothers, Brian Blaney, you know, the list just goes on and on and on. Still a big deal, man. Still a very, very big deal. So, you know, I mean, you can understand why everyone just went absolutely ballistic. I don't think I've ever seen a reaction to a race win quite like the one that Jeff Gordon had when he won Martinsville and got into the Final Four of the chase. I think that was great. You know, as much as I have, you know, my dislikes about the current chase format, it's good for those emotional stories, and the fact it gave us that one, I think that was pretty cool, to be honest. And the cheer that he got when he took the lead at Homestead was just, I mean, that's a Junior Nation type cheer. It was just brilliant. Even on the telly, I'd love to have experienced it in person. And as I say, seeing this car one more time, just fabulous. I mean, this is the iconic car that he made his name in the 1990s, with those all-conquering seasons where he'd win 10, you know, 13 races in one season. You know, you want to talk about dominance, he reinvented the word in the 1990s, and he reinvented a lot of what it means to be a NASCAR driver in the 1990s too. And seeing this car again, I believe it ran Bristol, and I want to say one other race. I think it ran either Bristol, and I want to say it ran one other race. But you know a race that it didn't run? The Southern 500, which, you know, totally didn't have an entire race themed around, I don't know, retro throwback paint schemes. Why this thing wasn't in the field was beyond me. Instead, we got this that ran most of the year, and he's just completely boring and bollocks. You know, I would do a full diecast review on it, but it just bores me to tears looking at it. Nice model, nice finish and everything on the silver. But why? Why did this run the Southern 500 and this didn't? Somebody please explain that to me, because no one has given me a coherent message. A lot of people seem to be blaming 3M for it. If they are just the absolute fun police on this one. It made no sense. It made absolutely no sense. It would have fitted in perfectly there, as you'll see in a few weeks' time when I do a throwback special diecast review episode. But the fact that we got to see it at all is very cool. He also had the special commemorative chrome livery at the end for the Homestead race, which was awesome. And, you know, I mean, Jeff Gordon has had a history of badass paint schemes. I mean, I love the Rainbow Warrior. I also liked his flame cars, the DuPont flame cars from the mid-2000s. This is one of my favourites of his. If we could squeeze it up here in the shot. Let's just bring the camera out a little bit. There you go. Look at that for a bright, colourful pairing. On the left is his 2007 DuPont Chevrolet with the flames on it. That's the kind of Jeff Gordon I remember, with the flames all over the car. That was the era he was in, the flame kind of hot rod style. His cars in the 2001, 2 and 03 and all those cars, they were just the best looking things out there. They were awesome. And, you know, that's part of the reason why he became such a popular driver. He was friendly with the fans. He was very approachable. You know, always a nice guy to the end. You know, I had a lot of friends of mine who were out at Homestead this year, guys who are huge Jeff Gordon fans, who said they met him, just the nicest guy ever. And, you know, for a guy who's won that many championships, that many wins, was the face of the sport in the late 1990s pretty much, you know. As much as guys disliked him back then, I mean, he must have come across as almost like the John Cena of his era of NASCAR in a way, as this sort of clean-cut hero. But, I mean, you know, the point was made at Martinsville. You know, how many of the people would have probably booed him in the 90s and are now cheering him now? Which made me laugh, considering they cheered Joey Logano getting smashed into a wall. I wonder how many of those people are going to be cheering him in a few years' time. That's an issue for a separate video. Anyway, yeah, Jeff Gordon has had a history of great paint schemes, a history of success in NASCAR that may never be equalled. And his farewell tour was just a pleasure to behold. It was fantastic. Thank you, Jeff, for being there. Thank you, Jeff, for making the sport a huge part of what it is. You know, this was one of those farewell tours where there was very few people begrudged him the hype and the levels of emotion on this farewell tour, because you can't really take, if there's anyone who does deserve this level, it's Jeff Gordon. I mean, I found it funny how Tony Stewart deliberately played down. He said he didn't want that level of hype next year. That was a personal choice. To be honest, I think Tony Stewart deserves almost as much on his farewell tour next year. But Jeff Gordon, really, you can't say enough. And as I say, seeing this car run one more time was just, it's awesome. You know, it doesn't matter. I'm keeping this diecast for life. And in fact, I bought this one from Road to Race Models, who are another good NASCAR diecast company here in the UK. They are absolutely great. And I love those guys too. Obviously, Race Gear UK are big supporters of Team Bombersports and what we do. But we love them both. We love the people who keep the diecast scene going here in the UK and help us support NASCAR in many ways. So no wonder there was a lot of emotion at Homestead in the final round. You know, he didn't get the job done, and I think it's ironic in a way that he had a bit of a below par season, but hey, he got into championship contention, having had so many seasons before where under the chase format it actually was a detriment to him. But you know, it's just so great. It was just so great to see Jeff Gordon go out on a high. As I say, it wasn't a kind of lame duck. It was, you know, he could have kept going a bit more. I think he could have still got some race wins. He could have hit 100 race wins, who knows. But it's just an extraordinary guy. A guy who kept redefining success all along. He was like, no, you think you're doing well? No, I'm still going. And the fact is, even when he stopped winning his championships, he then owned the number 48 car, who then won a bunch more championships. So even the next generation after him, and then again after him, will share his success. So this is easily one of my favourite diecasts of 2015. You know, forget it. This, I don't know if it can pick up on camera, but the blue is actually metallic. There is a sparkle to it as well. It just looks so good. This diecast is going to be in very, very high demand. Get it while you can, folks. This one is going to go, it's going to fly off the shelves so quickly. So if you get it, do so, and this will be your lasting tribute to the great man. 24 ever, or one of those bad puns. But thank you, Jeff. That's all that needs to be said. Get this one, and it'll be the last in a collection of magnificent number 24 diecast for you. This has been Team Bombersports diecast review of Jeff Gordon's 2015 Axalta Rainbow Warrior Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet. And it's still weird to me that we won't be hearing the name Jeff Gordon on the grid next year. Chase Elliott, those are mighty big shoes to fill, but I have a sneaky feeling he'll be able to do it. And Jeff, raise a beer in your retirement. I think you've just about earned it. I'll see you next time, Bombers.